Got open man. DJ Moore. End zone. Touchdown. Touchdown Bears.
I am Jeff Joniak.
Blitz is on. Down he goes. Oscar.
What was it like playing for Coach Ditka?
I don't want to answer any questions like that.
Pressure coming. He's in big trouble. Down he goes. Montez Sweat.
And etc.
Now, Bears Etc. brought to you by Chevy Drives Chicago, the official truck partner of your Chicago Bears.
Well, it was an attention-grabbing performance by the number one overall pick in the 2024 draft, and Caleb Williams is just getting started. And so are we today as we discuss on episode 172 of the Bears Etc. podcast. This episode of Bears Etc. is brought to you by ChevyDriveChicago.com, the official truck of your Chicago Bears. With Super Bowl winning Bears guard Tom Thayer, I'm Jeff Joniak. Good to be with you. Caleb Williams, the NFC Offensive Player of the Week, Tom. His first since Justin Fields won the honor back in 2022 in Week 9. Ain't no thing for him. He's focused on Vegas. I know you appreciate that as well, right?
Yeah, and I think that's kind of got to be the mantra right now. This is a team that wants to continue to ascend team by team, week by week. And I think we got an understanding of that through Ben Johnson, the way he talks about it's about preparation for the next team and how we're going to go about the next game plan. And, Caleb talked a little bit about inserting the game plan on Wednesdays. And throughout my whole career, I always am glad I wasn't a quarterback because of the difficulty of inserting a game plan week in and week out. There's so many things that change. There's so many styles of your opponent. They have different assets that you're trying to attack or avoid. So I think Caleb is just on the cusp of being able to do something really special in the relationship that he's developing with Ben Johnson and the rest of the quarterback coaches on this team. And so I'm excited to see what next week brings in Las Vegas.
He shares the NFL lead with 9 completions of 25-plus yards. His 7 passing touchdowns tied for second most in the NFL. More importantly, back to completion percentage, which is a big thing for Ben. Obviously wants him 70% for the year, which is a hard thing to reach in the NFL. He's 69% right now on third down, Tommy. He's 73% in the red zone. Against the blitz at 126 quarterback rating, no interceptions, 5 touchdowns. And then inside the 30, he's completing 72% of his passes. Those are the key situational you have to be good at.
I think it's a small sample size, and I love the success. But where and when do they happen, I think, is something that you need to look at.
This podcast brought to you by Miller Lite, the official beer partner of your Chicago Bears. Tastes like Miller time, Chicago. Go to MillerLite.com/BearsPod to find delivery options near you. Celebrate responsibly. Miller Brewing Company, Milwaukee, Wisconsin. 96 calories and 3.2 carbs per 12 ounces. All right, so Caleb leads us off today at the podium. First order of business with thinking about the Raiders, and of course, Max Crosby, but it evolved into many other things, including his big throw to Luther Burden, how he passed it 62.1 yards in the air without hitching up, and just the complication, as Tommy alluded to, of learning a new plan every Wednesday.
I know a lot of football is results-based, and that's not, I think I've spoken to you all about, that's not really where I'm at. There's going to be times where you feel you play a great game and you weren't doing the right things at the right time, and you end up losing the game. So just being able to do the right things at the right time consistently helps the team, and that's where I'm at and trying to be at.
In light of that, what does it mean to be named NFC Offensive Player of the Week?
That's it.
Ben said you were a little bit hesitant to sort of bask in that honor when he brought it up in front of the team earlier on. Why?
It's Wednesday now. Time to move on and focus on the Raiders, and obviously we got a tall task at hand with, like we talked about with Max and those defensive players, and obviously that explosive offense and guys on the special team. So every week is important, and every game, every moment, and that was a good moment we had on last Sunday, and it's time to move on to Raiders.
On the flea flicker, how were you able to make that throw without making a hitch?
I would say God-given ability. I don't know.
When you see something like that, did that impress you when you watched it back, just knowing the mechanics of that?
No. I think it comes down to practice, belief, trust of where Luther's going to be, and the guys holding up the block, and I know that I can throw the ball, pretty far. So just catch the ball and let it rip.
I know you have Caleb. Load up the game plan even more every week. You said relative to week one, there was a lot more on your plate last week. Is that music to your ears, or are you taking it in better now than maybe you did last year?
I think there's a certain part where you just you start getting a better understanding of the offense and what we're trying to do, and I think the consistency of just taking a step each week and trying to be positive, trying to be like there's gonna be hard moments in practice like today. Messed up it's Wednesday. It's probably one of the hardest days of quarterback's job is Wednesdays, just because all of the game plan that's going in, and so just being able to be positive, being able to understand that it is Wednesday and a bunch of it is new, and not get too frustrated and give myself a little grace on Wednesdays to be able to understand that I'll go back, study tonight, study tomorrow, and keep studying throughout the week, and then we'll get to Sunday and be able to rep it and get out there and call those plays and be efficient and do whatever we need to do to win a game.
Is it new for you to be less frustrated? Like, were you more frustrated last year on Wednesdays?
Yeah, I would say I was a little bit more frustrated myself, just because I want to be the best that I can be for my guys and this organization. So being able to go through a year of that, but also understand offense is better, understand defense a little bit better, and just continuing that growth process and mindset.
You talked before about earning Coach Johnson's trust in certain situations. Where do you feel like you've grown or gained that trust more in certain situations, whether that be like 4th and goal the other day or whatever?
Yeah, I think a lot. I mean, him and I talk and meet every single day after the day's over. So that's a part of it. And then obviously getting out there in the practice field builds a lot of confidence in him to be able to go and call the plays, whatever moment it is, whether we're backed up or whether we're, and it's him trusting me to be able to, protect the football, maybe not take a safety or, in those ways, or whether it's 4th and 4 on the goal line, and it's the trust between us to be able to try and go get it, and a lot of it's practice, like I said, and a lot of it's us, the after hours that we spend here.
Have your after hours, has that prep changed? Because he said that what's impressed him is that they don't have to revisit stuff the next day. What's changed for you, like, once you get out of this building?
Yeah, I think it's just getting into a flow, understanding what's been working for me, and when I get out of here, it's studying how to study, and then also just when he gives me information, it's being able to when I actually go watch the film, or when I am looking over the plays or anything like that we practiced the day of, or whatever case may be, or going into the next day, it's having an understanding of what he's told me, and being able to either look at it and see it and understand it, and if I don't, he's fine with like I said many times with him, it's him being able to have the patience with me and have the patience with everybody to be able to get exactly where we're trying to get at.
So with success or without, same guy every day at the podium.
Yeah, but one thing about both of these guys, I think they only have time for the necessity. They don't have time to sit there and go and socialize, jack around, go to any types of events. It's about coming to the work on Wednesday, inserting the game plan for the week in terms of what a part of the game plan you're going to insert on Wednesday, and then go over and walkthroughs, go over it and practice, and then go home and go over it again. The work never stops. So this isn't like a carousel that stops every once in a while, then you can get off and go socialize and then get back on when you need to. No, once this carousel starts at the start of the regular season, it never stops until the end of the regular season. And I like to hear that from Caleb, and I like to see how serious he's taking it. One thing about the burden pass, so you got a flea flicker. I like, and Ben kind of brought it up, knowing the landmark of the receiver, knowing the whereabouts of the receiver, where they're going to be. So maybe if Caleb runs that same play and he's blindfolded, and you just say, Caleb, throw this to an area where you assume Luther Burden would be, it would fall into the vicinity. And so I think that's one of the transitions that you see these quarterbacks that start understanding their systems. The play may not be run perfectly. The protection may not be perfect, but the vicinity to the area and the talent of your arm and your mind that everything matches up together. That time it ended up in a touchdown, and let's go as this season winds on. And I think we're going to see more of those types of completions through Ben, through Caleb.
Hey, Bears fans, Steinhoffel's a proud partner of the Chicago Bears. This Bears season, Steinhoffel's is partnering with Special Spaces Illinois to create dream bedrooms for children battling cancer. For every false start caused by the Bears defense during a home game, Steinhoffel's will donate $1,000 to Special Spaces Illinois. Shop in-store and online at steinhoffels.com. All right, let's listen into Ben Johnson. Now, in the last couple weeks, once the regular season has begun, his first order of business on his Wednesday get-together with the media is to break down the opposition. That also sets kind of the tone for the questioning and the line of questioning. So here's Ben on the Vegas Raiders.
Man, really good team that we're about to face here this week. Got a lot of respect for their playmakers all across the field. I mean, defensively, obviously, it starts with Max Crosby there. He's I think, in my opinion, he's a top 5 player in this league on defense and probably doesn't get the recognition that he deserves. He's all over the place, relentless, high motor, and you got to account for him and know where he's at every single snap, or else he'll get you. And he wrecks drives. That's what he does. And then they've got great team speed on that side. Those guys are flying around. Offensively, they got playmakers at every position group. The quarterback's playing at a high level. I think they're the number 1 team in explosive plays right now on offense. And so we got our work cut out for us. And that goes without even mentioning their head coach, who, I got a ton of respect for Pete Carroll. He's been doing this for almost 30 years, whether at the college level or the NFL. And I think he only has 4 losing seasons. So that's a credit to who he is. The teams take his identity. They play hard, they play fast, they play physical, they fly around. And I know that he'll have this group ready to go here this week. So we got to answer that call. We're still looking for our first road win. And, we have yet to obviously win 2 games back-to-back. And so that's huge for us and where we're going.
And as you sift through Caleb's performance and production from Sunday, what do you want him to carry forward with him from what he did on Sunday?
I think it's the comfort level right now of taking all this information over the course of the week, which is a lot. We just had a walkthrough and we screw some things up, and that's because we just talked about it for the first time, and we're going to screw a couple things up in the walkthrough. Well, we got to get better at it during practice, and then I think what I'm most impressed at with him and his process is the next day he really locks everything in from the day before, and we don't have to go back and revisit it again. So he's a quick study in that regard, and because of that, we can load up the game plan more each week. Week 3 was a lot more than week 1, and hopefully that's our new normal here going forward. Is not just for him, but for the entire offense. We can have a little bit more in the game plan to help attack some of these defenses. And so because he's doing that and his comfort level is growing, we're able to grow as an offense.
Do you see some things? You guys are 3 games in, months of practice, months and months in the offseason together. Do you see some things specifically that you can point out with him that are just solid now?
Yeah, I see him playing the game with his feet much more so than what we had in the spring or during training camp. He's trying to tie in, number 1 in the progression with the first hitch, number 2 with the second hitch, and we're trying to throw on time a lot more often than maybe we were initially. And so I see it coming along, and I give a lot of credit to the guys in that room with him. JT Barrett's doing a really good job. Champion the cause of what we're trying to get done as a coaching staff. And then, Tyson's got his back and Case Keenum's got his back as well. And so it's been a group effort, and he's been receptive to it all. I can't say enough really about the approach. I keep going back to it. When you have the approach that's right, we're going to continue to see him get better. It's kudos to him. He won Offensive Player of the Week there for the NFC, and he came in today and completely unfazed by it. I tried to recognize him in front of the group, and he wasn't having it. It's very stoic, and he's already on to the next game. He knows he needs to have an even better performance here this week to give us the best chance to win.
And how do you feel about the run game through 3 weeks, and where can it be better?
It can be better all over the place right now. We're very conscious of it. We watched all of our runs as a group the other day, Monday, and I think I've alluded to it in the past that it can take a little bit of time before this all meshes and it all gels together. We got some new faces up front that haven't played a ton of ball together yet, and so that's part of the process. It's also for the runners to understand what we intend to do with some of these play calls, where we want that ball to hit. And then at the end of the day, they take their natural skill set and they make something big out of it. You know, our whole goal as a coaching staff is to get them up to the third level as much as we can to make these safeties and these corners tackle them one-on-one. We haven't been doing that enough, and so as a coaching staff, we need a sound plan, and then we need to go out there and we need to execute it just a little bit better than what we have been doing. But I'm not discouraged at all. I see how close we are to this thing really coming together, and I think that was really the point of the meeting there on Monday was those guys see the same thing.
What are some of the things that, you know, with the patient element of getting it all working together with guys that haven't played a lot of ball together yet? I know it's already week 4, but in the big picture, this offensive line has been together for just a moment in time, that this will eventually start to create some bigger, more important plays in the run game for Ben's offense.
You know, first of all, each week, the game plan, the running game plan is going to be a little bit different because of the quality of players that you're playing against in the front 6 or the front 7 of their defense. Or this week, it happens to be Max Crosby. But he's not the only player they have there, but he is their most high-profile front 7 player they have. And because of when you're trying to put together a game plan, whether it's back in my era going against Reggie White or now you speed it up to this week against Max Crosby, no 2 running plays is going to be blocked exactly the same every single time. And now when you're trying to get 8 to 10 guys each and every time have a well-organized accomplishment of what their blocks are so the running back can read it and anticipate it perfectly, it's rarely going to happen that way. So what you're going to have to do is go through the growing pains, make sure that you understand what you're seeing depending upon the play called, and then each and every time you call it, understand where it's going to open up, how it's going to open up, where the strength of the block is, and how you're going to hit that hole. So I think that the running game is something that takes a long time to develop, just like the passing game, but the running game will be a little bit different each and every week, depending upon the type of player that you're playing against.
Raiders giving up 114 yards per game on the ground and about 4.5 yards a carry. You want to travel with a run game, you travel with your defense, and you travel with your special teams, and you're going to be going into a place where there's going to be a lot of Bears fans, but there'll be some loud Raider fans as well.
Oh, but let me say one thing about the preparation of the defensive coordinator of the Vegas Raiders. First thing they're going to do is they're going to start practicing an up-tempo offensive attack because that's what they did in Detroit. They open up the first play, and there got DeAndre Swift in a single back formation, and that's who they snapped it to. So there's so many different things that you have to go through to make sure that you get an understanding of what Ben could do. And you and I talked about it the other day. You're limited on the amount of snaps that the defense is going to be offered during a practice week. So now you got to look at everything they've done in just regular timed offense. That's when they go to the line of scrimmage, you call the cadence, you call a play. Then you got to talk about the sped up tempo of the offense. Then you're going to talk about the single back formation, not a wildcat, but a single back formation. So there's a lot on the plate of the defensive coordinator when he's trying to figure out the mind of Ben Johnson.
That would be Patrick Graham, the Las Vegas defensive coordinator. Score big at your local Chevy dealer. The Chevy Silverado will take you through the season in style. Chevy Drive Chicago, official truck partner of the Chicago Bears. So you alluded to, and Ben did, and so did Caleb, the download on Wednesday. Are we to believe it's a completely brand new game plan? Because is it a knowledge dump on Wednesday and you sift through it for the rest of the week, or because it seems like, and it sounds like, it's introduction of some new stuff that'll be specific to the Raiders and what they're going to present defensively?
Well, that's what Ben's been about since the time that he's been here. He said each and every game plan is going to matter on who they're playing on that specific week, and then how we dissect what they do defensively and what we feel we can do offensively. And I think that's the really cool thing about Ben and his offense, because in a different way, he doesn't want, the offense doesn't need to be stagnant. The offense needs to have these subtle changes week in and week out, something that may be like a a flea flicker will catch you off guard, and then take advantage of what you perceive their vulnerabilities to be. And that's going to be a week in and week out type of adventure for all of us, because as well as we know Ben from Detroit, now we're getting to know Ben as the head coach, and I think it's more exciting than ever.
Let me ask you this. I know there's going to be new plays in there, and to take advantage of mismatches, take advantage of matchups, or to test the waters a little bit. Will there always be meat and potato plays?
Of course. There's always going to be bread and butter, and every single offense has that. Sometimes that bread and butter is not usable or used very often against a certain opponent, and then sometimes you can use it multiple times per game, maybe in a different formation, a variety of different personnel groupings that the Bears have been practicing since OTAs. But each and every week, I think there's going to be a wrinkle that it's going to keep you on the edge of your chair, and then all of a sudden throughout in your description on the radio, you're going to be saying it for the first time.
So you're saying bread and butter, I'm saying meat and potatoes. So if I'm going to add some gravy and maybe get mashed instead of hard-boiled potatoes, or we'll get a baked potato on there with a steak, maybe we'll go to a little slab of turkey on the grill. Will you at some point be able to know what the meat and potato plays are, because you'll be seeing a repetition of success on those plays? You'll know this is a Bears play now.
It's hard to say, because Ben is so creative, and whether it's a 2 tight end set, whether it's multiple wide receivers, whether it's a tight end going back I formation at fullback, there's such a variety formations and setups before the play where maybe we'll see the same bread and butter play run out of 5 or 6 different formations. For us back in the day, if we ran a slant 45 and we would run it out of the same formation, the same setup, the same group, and Ditka would say, well, we're going to run this play like this until they stop us. Nowadays, the offensive minds are more creative than back in the day when you just had a group of guys that no matter what they were going to try to do to you, you knew that you can be successful for what you were going to do to them. And I like the creativity of the modern NFL.
Yeah, but there's still some beauty in, it's simple like in baseball. If a pitcher's up there and he's throwing sliders every single pitch because they can't hit it, so keep throwing sliders.
And there is that variation.
Yeah.
But it could be out of a 2 tight end set. It could be out of 3 tight end. It could be out of 1 back. So I'm just saying, I think that we need a couple years to get to know Ben Johnson if we ever think anything's ever going to be predictable.
Yeah, I doubt it, right? I doubt it.
I doubt it either.
Oh, good news, Chicago. United Airlines is getting brand new planes with all the bells and whistles like Bluetooth connectivity, screens at every seat, and room for everyone's roller bag. United, proud to fly the Chicago Bears, and you too. You know who's flying to Vegas? It is Odunze, his hometown. Yeah, he grew up in Orem, Utah, but he moved to Vegas at the age of 3. And so this is a big deal for him. I had a chance to visit with him on Wednesday to take a sneak peek at what is about to unfold for him, his first NFL trip in his hometown. Is there something to that for you that is significant?
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely, yeah. There's no doubt about it. Obviously, coming from Vegas, I got a lot of love for my city. So, when the Raiders kind of moved out there, I had to adopt them a little bit for a while until obviously, I'm with the Bears now. But a lot of love for the hometown. Got a bunch of family rolling through, so it's definitely a big one.
Who were your guys back in those early days of the Raiders in Vegas?
Oh shoot, I mean Carr was back there, so he was dotting them up and all that stuff. But and then when Devontae was over there too, I was a big fan of his game and all that. So and they got a good crew now, so. Rooting for him, but not this week.
Yeah, exactly. Bishop Gorman, we know, is a fabulous program.
Right.
It'll be interesting because Caillou Blue Kelly
That's right.
is a teammate of yours,
That's
and
right.
he's going to be lining up,
That's right.
possibly having a deal with you, and vice versa. That's got to be also a cool moment for two guys that won several state championships together.
Yeah. No, that's my brother. Yeah, and he's kind of finally found a good spot in the Raiders at home. So I'm rooting for him and his success and being able to have those games in high school going against each other in practice, and then we went against each other when he was at Stanford. I was at UW, and now in the league, obviously going against each other this Sunday. So for that just to continue to develop and see each other's growth in that way is super special. So obviously rooting for him.
What did you learn from Vegas?
Oh man, I learned a lot. I learned a lot of my work ethic came from the city. Yeah, a lot of the diversity of the city also, shaped my personality and character as well. With all my brothers and all my friends and family back there, who shaped and were around me to influence me definitely. But it's taught me a lot. I'm definitely the man I am today because of where I grew up in Las Vegas. Yeah.
You're doing some great things in just 21 NFL games or whatever it is. Right now, you're the league's number 2 third down pass receiver. Last year, you were number 1. Granted, smaller sample size, number 1 in the league in 50-50 balls, winning those balls. I know those are mile markers. They don't mean a ton to you. That's just numbers. But what does it say about what you're striving for, where you're at right now?
Yeah, I'm always on the hunt for greatness, just trying to be one of the best receivers to play the game. And, it's the little things and the details and the work every single day, putting it in to get to that point. And obviously, I have had a good start to the season this year, had my highlights last season as well. But, I got a long way to go. So I'm continuing in that process and continuing to develop those things so I can help this team win and, win Super Bowls. And also, along with that will come the individual achievements.
When you have so much success in the layers leading up to being an NFL player, does it sometimes feel like where's that light at the end of the tunnel a little bit as you try and find your way?
Absolutely, yeah, for sure. in previous years, I always thought like, okay, let me just get a scholarship and then I can play, at UW, and then when you get at UW, it's like, okay, let me just get an opportunity to play in the NFL. And now it's like, okay, I'm a first-round draft pick. Let me just go out there and, be in the NFL and, have fun. And now it's like, okay, now I'm in the NFL. Like, why don't I be great? You know what I mean? So your mindset has to continue to shift, and, the work is never over in life, So you always have to put in that work for whatever goal you're trying to accomplish. And if it's something great, it's going to be a steep and adverse path. So, just going along that is what I'm in right now, but I'm excited for it.
Caillou Blue Kelly, he's a starting cornerback. These guys won a couple championships together. He says, that's my brother. And when you got a friend against a friend on the field, they're bound to run into each other. Who knows? He may have to cover them, or you may have to run routes against them. That's a pretty cool story, going back to your hometown for the first time.
Oh, it is. Well, let me tell you the pros and the cons of that. And I was talking to a neighbor about it today. So when I used to have a home game, I used to have so many families members there, so many people there that I knew that after the game, sometimes it was exhausting because you had so many people that you had to talk to, say hi, and it was exhausting at times. When I would go on the road, it would be a lot easier for me because I would go and play the game. After the game, I would change, shower, and I would go to the bus. I didn't have to entertain. I didn't have to talk to a lot of people. So this is kind of Rome Odunze's home game. So if there are a lot of people that he has there that he has to stop and say hi to after the game, it's just listen, it's just an experience that I went through every single home game. And with Rome going back to Las Vegas and maybe seeing catching up with people that he hasn't in quite a while. Focus on the football game first, have all the success in the world, and then greet the people that have meant a lot in your upbringing.
Yeah, it's a great story. He's off to a great start, and he's going to be here a long time. He's going to be an impact player. I really feel
Did you ask him about his hair?
I sure did, Tom. That'll be for the TV. That'll be for Bears Game Day Live on Sunday. You'll have to wait.
Okay.
You have to wait for that one.
I will.
You'll have to wait for that one.
Just for those people that didn't get a chance to see Rome, he had his hair braided since training camp began, and it was really tight to the scalp. And then he had it all taken out.
Right.
And he
got a lot of hair.
Oh my God! I'm so envious of him. It's everything that I would want to have.
I'll just tell you this right now. Yes, he says it does feel good under the helmet.
I know it does.
Yeah. Well, you don't, but.
Well,
because you had a little bit of hair.
Back in the day, Walter Payton wore one of the most archaically made helmets in the history of the league, and he had enough a cushion of hair that when he put it on, he said that he could feel the cushion of it. It's not like Rome's, however.
Right.
I've seen people throughout my whole career like that.
Yeah, no question. All right, let's dig into the weeds a little bit here on the Raiders before we pack this thing up. Let's start on offense. And Geno Smith, he makes big plays. He's got the arm to do it. He's not afraid to test tight windows. He has ability to escape trouble if he's in trouble. I wouldn't call him a flat out running quarterback by any means. There is offensive line issues for them right now, and Brock Bowers is not 100% healthy. He is unequivocally their top weapon. And then you got the Ashton Jeanty situation. How are you looking at this offense, and where do you see the key points of emphasis for Dennis Allen's crew?
First of all, Ben kind of addressed it at the podium, talking about the fundamental challenge you'll have when you want to tackle Jeanty. He is a powerful guy, 5'8", 208, something like that. He runs with low shoulder pads, and he's already proved it in college that he's got the ability to bounce off tacklers and turn it into big runs. So with that being said, I think Dennis Allen has got to put people in the most difficult positions they can possibly be, whether it's the point of attack, whether you want to bring extra blitzers to try to encourage Geno Smith to audible to a pass and see if Jeanty can pick it up, because that's where one of his struggles has come from. So I just try to not let any of these guys do what they want to do, and Jeanty wants to run the ball, so I'm going to make him block more than be able to run the ball. I'm going to put it in the hands of the quarterback to see if I can generate a significant pass rush that puts him on the defensive. Even though Brock Bowers, he's got a leg injury and he's not running like he did as, the rookie records that he set as a tight end, I'm just going to try to make it as uncomfortable as I possibly can for any vulnerability that I believe that they have, either on the offensive line, in the backfield, or at a receiver position.
Let's flip now to the offensive side of the ball and what the Bears are looking at beyond Crosby on the defensive side for the Raiders. Their defensive front has a collection of different types of bodies and experience. It's more of a veteran team with Pete Carroll, especially the linebackers. He's got 3 linebackers that have had success and Super Bowl experience across the board on these 3 guys.
Yeah, Pete Carroll's foundation is a defensive coordinator in the league, a defensive-minded coach. So I'm sure that he's going to be able to interject whatever he sees against this Bears offense and how to handle some of their differences that they've shown over the first couple games. But yeah, it's still going to be a 4-man defensive line. They have an alpha igniter in Max Crosby. So you got to make sure that you understand where he's lined up. Is he in the inside where he can have a closer path to the quarterback? And if he does, you got to get multiple hands on him. If he's lined up constantly on the outside, you got to make sure that the offensive tackles are up to making sure that they're the aggressor in the pass protection against them. The last thing you want to do against Max Crosby as an offensive tackle is back off the ball significantly, create space, and then within that space, you allow him to start attacking what he perceives your vulnerabilities to be. So it's just attacking Max. Do not let him be the pass rusher he wants to be. 6'5", 255 pounds. If you want to have a point of attack running game, you can run at him. And I think that's what you always have to do to a premier pass rusher, because if you want to take a little sting out of his pass rushing ability, you got to make the game real physically demanding for him.
So he's been typically lining up off the right tackle. When you put on the tape, is he bopping around? I know we talked to Kirk Morrison and said, hey, he may even do some 4-eye and 3 technique. And are those just rare changeups from the tape you saw?
Yeah. Max Crosby, he wants to rush from the outside, and he wants to initiate his weaponry against the offensive tackle, because the offensive tackle, basically, they're going to do the same thing almost every single time they come out of their stance in a pass blocking assignment. A defensive end has a variety of moves. So if the offensive lineman is consistent and really good at what they do, then he's going to be in control of the defensive end. If the defensive end feels like he has an arsenal of moves and he can use his 1, 2, 3 right down the line, and then he's going to try every single one of them. But primarily, Max Crosby wants to be an outside rusher and use his speed and his alpha and his aggressiveness to be a premier pass rusher.
How do you tell a cashier you're a Bears fan without telling them that you're a Bears fan? With the Chicago Bears PNC Bank Visa debit card, which gets you exclusive discounts on Bears merchandise. Find out more at pnc.com/BearsCard. Thanks to our friends at PNC. All right, one last nugget for you. You may already know this, but this is in the unbelievable category, if you ask me. The Bears have scored 28 first-quarter points this year through the first 3 weeks. That's tied for first in the NFL. In 17 games last year in the first quarter, they scored only 27 points.
Yeah.
I see your jaw. It's
how beneficial is that to the defense? That's what, when you're trying to climb up the ladder as a whole defensive unit because you can't be aggressive and start running downhill, it's because you're not scoring points and the opponent's offense is in control of everything. Now you're playing kind of a prevent style. Don't let us score on us because we're not scoring any points. Now they're scoring points, and it gives you the opportunity and the option to be creative on defense. And if you notice a deficiency within their offense, which may be Genty the blocker, not necessarily Genty the ball carrier, maybe you can try to expose his ability or inability to block and attack Geno Smith. So those points scored early in the game. Look what they did last week. Tyreek Stevenson goes and takes that fumble away. The Bears go down and score. Now they're up 7-0 instead of down 7-0. And so now the game has a completely different feel to it because the offense has points on the board and you can be the aggressor.
Last thing, 128 modern-day players nominated for the Pro Football Hall of Fame class of 26. Our good friend and your best friend, 7-time consecutive Pro Bowl center Jay Hilgenberg is in that veterans group, but there are former players from the Bears, 12 of them that in that 128, interestingly enough. Thomas Jones in there, Brandon Marshall, Greg Olson, Olin Kreutz, Reuben Brown, Ted Washington, Lance Briggs, Charles Tillman. I just touched on some of them, but it's cool. We've had some great players run through this organization, and the franchise that has the most Hall of Famers. Hope to add some more down the road.
Yeah, I love Thomas Jones. I really didn't know him that well, but I admired everything that he was able to accomplish in a career. Me, I feel Jay should be in the Hall of Fame already. I think Olin and Charles Tillman should get significant consideration as well. And so hopefully someone new gets a chance to put on the yellow jacket and celebrate with the Bears, with the organization, with everybody that's a Bears fan.
This podcast brought to you by Miller Lite, the official beer partner of your Chicago Bears. Tastes like Miller Time, Chicago. Go to MillerLite.com/BearsPod to find delivery options near you. Celebrate responsibly. Miller Brewing Company, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, 96 calories and 3.2 carbs per 12 ounces. That's going to do it for us. We'll talk to you on the radio from Vegas, 325 on ESPN Chicago and the Bears Radio Network. For Tom Thayer, I'm Jeff Joniak. Thanks for listening. Please subscribe now on the Chicago Bears official app, Apple, Spotify, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcasts. Bear down, everybody.